Good evening. The Concord Township Board of Zoning Appeals for January 2024 is now in session. I would like to introduce the board. To my far left is Skip Sweeney. I'm Ivan Valentik. To my right is Ashley Garkar. And to our far right is Heather Freeman, our zoning inspector. Under the advice of counsel, we ask that anyone speaking tonight must be sworn in. If you plan on speaking, please stand and raise your right hand. I encourage you, if there's a chance you're going to speak, please be sworn in now. You have one more. Okay, sir, do you want to come in? Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God? If so, say I do. I do. Thank you. Please be seated. This evening, when presenting your case or commenting, please come to the microphone, and we need everyone to state your name and your address, and we need you to confirm that you've been sworn in. Again, all discussion should happen at the microphone, okay? And everyone will have a chance to speak. I would just encourage you, if another resident or neighbor has said something, you don't have to repeat it unless you really want to, but you could just say, I agree with what I've heard tonight, what my neighbors have said, but then you can add additional dialogue, okay? We're gonna give everybody a chance to speak tonight that would like to speak. We'll try to keep this in an orderly fashion. Again, when directing any comments to us, it's all handled up here at the podium, okay? All right, Heather, were the legal notices published in a timely manner?
Yes.
Thank you. We have one piece of old business, one conditional use permit, and a variance application request. A 3-vote majority is required to either approve or deny appeal. If the request is denied, you have the right to file an appeal. Obviously, we're missing some members today, unfortunately. We usually have 5, but we have 3. So this evening, for any approvals, would require all 3 individuals up here to approve any conditional use permits or variances, okay?
Table number 1.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Okay.
Yep. So the first thing is gonna be old business, appeal number 2018-41. Mr. Randy Viviani of 7757 Concord LLC requests administrative appeal from the determination by the zoning inspector that a zoning permit and certificate of zoning compliance are required for a new business to occupy a vacant commercial building pursuant to sections 11.01 and 12.01 of the Concord Township zoning resolution for the property located at 7757 Auburn Road, Unit 12, currently known as permanent parcel number 08-A-020-00-00-036-0. This appeal is going to be tabled for our next meeting. It's been on our docket for a little while. Okay, next will be some new business. The first is conditional use permit application 2023-27. Ralph Victor Construction Inc. is requesting approval for a conditional use permit in accordance with sections 13.05 to have a commercial center in the planned unit development as required in section 16.07E. This is the property located at the corner of Cryle and Hunting Lake Drive, parcel number 08-A-020-C-00-002-0. Mr. Ralph Victor, please come up.
Todd Victor.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Todd Victor, thank you. Please state your name, address, and confirm you've been sworn in.
Todd Victor at 20 Alberta Road, Painesville. I've been sworn in.
Okay, thank you, sir. If you want to kind of go through and kind of present your case for the conditional use permit application, we're going to have to come back up for the variance application as well.
Okay.
And go through that separately, but if you want to talk about that at the, together,
Well,
that's okay too.
Mr. Chairman, sorry to interrupt you, but before we proceed, would you please confirm with the applicant that he wishes to proceed with the 3 board members rather than the 5?
Thank you. So we, as you noticed, we only have 3 members this evening.
Right.
Do you want to move forward with
Yes.
your application this evening for the
Yes.
conditional use permit and variance?
Yes.
Okay.
We want to take one variance off, but when we get to that point, we'll
Okay.
do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we'll try to speak up.
So we want to build a building. We're trying to put the plan together to build a building with our new offices on the one end of it, and then have a couple spots for retail on the building. In the warehouse part, well, should I speak about that now? The warehouse part?
You can present whatever, it's what,
Yeah,
whatever you want to present to us.
the warehouse part would be, it's mainly for a garage for our cars to pull into the back of our offices.
For what?
So,
Excuse me, folks, again, all the commenting has to happen up at the microphone. I ask for everybody to be quiet. Mr. Victor, if you could try to speak a little bit louder so
yeah,
the people in the back can
the
hear you.
warehouse part on the building would be on the back of our offices for our cars to pull in when we're there.
So is that the larger building that's shown on the plan?
Right, but we're only gonna take up 5,000 square feet of it. And the building's about 13,000 square feet, so we'll have a couple extra spots for retail or whatever at that time someone would want to put in there.
You don't have any
We don't have
uses
any tenants for that
tenants
right now,
for
no.
that building? And then what about the smaller building that's
The
shown?
smaller building could be, it could be retail, could be a restaurant, and we were gonna take out the drive-through right now, and if someone wanted to drive through, they'll have to come back later and try and get the drive-through, and if they wanted to use that building for a drive-through. But we're gonna take that one off for the variance. We're gonna take the drive-through part out of it.
Yeah, because it currently shows a drive-through.
Right.
So what are you envisioning that building is then? That smaller building?
It could be retail, it could be like a Jersey Mike, possibly, or something like that,
With no drive-through.
with no drive-through.
Okay.
We're not building that right away. We're not gonna build that unless somebody wants it for whatever they wanna use it for. We just gotta be able to market something, be able to tell people what we can build there and have something to market.
There's two drives shown in, one off of Hunting Lake Drive, which is an in and out. And then the one off of Cryle was a right turn in, I guess only, and a right turn out only.
Right.
Was there a traffic analysis done or any traffic, work done to kind of analyze why it's a right in and out only?
Well, I'm pretty sure Dave Novak talked to the county and they would not want you to be able to turn left out of there when you're going out or coming in from the north. They wouldn't want you to be turning in that way either, coming from the north to the south.
Okay.
And
Mr. Victor, could you
and
pull
we-
that mic close to your mouth?
and
We have a lot of people in here and they can't
Yeah,
hear you. I can barely hear you.
we met
That's still not good enough.
with
Thank you. You
With
need to keep it very
Concord.
close. These people can't hear you.
we met with Concord with Heather, and they suggested to put the one on Hunting Lake, the entrance on Hunting Lake back farther. We had it up closer to Cryle, so we moved it all the way to the back. That entrance.
I have a question that might be for legal, because I feel like we're jumping from two different variances.
Yep.
If both variances starting with 2023, if we do not approve 27, that is talking about two buildings, if we deny that, does the 142 even matter? Okay.
Well, right now the first vote will be for the conditional use permit only.
Okay, but we're talking about drive-through, which is 142.
Yeah, but, yeah, he's
Okay.
presenting, you know, his conditional use, which, you know, could include a drive-through. He says right now it's not gonna include a drive-through, but it should be, you know, you should consider it, I think, as part of providing a conditional use permit approval.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure on that. So, Mr. Victor, the larger building of the two that you guys are requesting, because as of right now, if we deny 27, which is the two buildings, you are allowed to still put a retail or a a retail or a restaurant on that property. Is that correct?
Pardon? Say that again?
If the 27 approval is for you to be building your commercial building,
Okay,
is that what you were asking for?
yes,
Okay, and your commercial building, that is partially for a new office building for Victor Construction?
right.
Office building or a garage?
It's an office, it's gonna be our offices, and in the back, it will have a garage to pull our vehicles into.
Is this an expansion of your construction company or a replacement of your existing building? Like, are all of your trucks wherever they are now staying there, or are you buying more?
We don't, there's only 3 of us that work there, and 2 of them are ladies that drive cars and in my car. We don't have trucks right now. I keep my truck at my house.
Okay, so then the garage is for
The
staff
cars,
parking?
yes.
It's not for construction trucks?
No,
Okay.
But I think that maybe the issue is that a warehouse is not a permitted in this zoning district. So that's where we,
correct, that's why we need that variance.
So,
We can call it a garage. Is that permitted?
I don't know if a garage is permitted, but I know a warehouse isn't, you know, and it's part of your retail, it's part of that larger office, you know, office building. So, I mean, the other thing I struggle with a little bit is what are the other retail uses, not knowing what they are, and providing a conditional use permit. I mean, the drive-through retail is not allowed. You know, the drive-through in this district is not allowed. And I know you said that you've taken that off, but, you know, I don't think we could, you know, obviously we can't approve, or we could consider approving a conditional use permit to drive-through, but it's not allowed, and a warehouse isn't allowed. And then, you know, it depends on which retail is going in. I think we should have, you know, to approve the conditional use permit, we should have some sense of what might that retail be. So if it, I don't know what it is. Is it,
We don't have any tenants.
yeah.
so the
And
garage.
the JED might help us get tenants, I don't know. But they're,
So the garage
But-
is for personal cars, not construction vehicles.
right.
So do you guys currently, at your current location, have a garage for your personal vehicles when you park?
No,
Okay. What's the reasoning for asking for a warehouse that personal cars could be parked at versus construction? I understand parking construction cars in a large warehouse. But personal cars, is that a necessity for your new building?
we would like the garage back there so we can pull in. Because our couple girls don't like to shovel snow off the cars and stuff. So, when they're working there, so, I mean,
Okay. So I think the other,
it's less parking out in the parking lot too, that they would take up.
right, but I think part of the conditional use ending in 27 is also not only the two buildings, which is a large warehouse with a garage for personal cars, which is currently not allowed in current zoning. It is also asking to change up from 80 parking spots to 53 parking spots.
Well, it depends on who's gonna take the other space in the building, based on, it's different for retail and it's different for restaurant, how many parking spots you need. So right now, we can't really tell you the exact amount, but that's not counting all the land bank over here, so we would put as many spaces in as we need, depending on who takes the spots and what's in there.
According to the proposal you sent in, though, it has 53 spots versus
No, it has 59.
Okay, that might have been updated by a couple, but still compared to the 80 required by the amount of square footage in buildings that you guys are proposing.
There's 62 required if everything's retail in our office.
According to our staff report of what you gave us in proposals, which maybe you've updated the proposals and have not given us updated proposals to give correct parking spots. Heather, could you assist with that?
Yeah, I've been sworn in. The parking in the PUD for commercial is just based on section 1609, which says it's one space for every 200 square feet of floor area. It does not make a difference what the users are,
Right.
as opposed to our traditional, commercial districts. And I think that was confusing where
Is that what?
Mr. Novak has both on here where I've indicated the zoning is or the parking requirements are based on 1609. So if you're looking at his site plan, Todd, at the very bottom right column, that is how we're calculating the parking. The other ones based on the different users is not applicable in the PUD district.
So the 80 parking spots, according to the plans we have.
Based on the square footages of the two buildings that are proposed on the site
Okay.
plan. Yeah.
And now, has there been an updated plan given to us that updates it to 59 spots versus the 53? I think.
That is the one that I just sent you over that
Okay.
we received. Yes, slight change.
So
I can let Mr. Victor talk about
Yeah,
that.
we can get the 80 on there. Just, we thought that we would have to change it based on the usage, whoever would rent the spots. But according to Heather, we need 80 then. So over on the land bank side, we can get the 80 spots.
If you get that variance.
Right.
But I mean, looking at the site plan, there's no. I mean, if you have restaurants, dining, you're gonna need dumpsters. That's not on here. So you're probably gonna lose more spaces than gain spaces potentially.
Correct. And Heather, can you clarify a slight confusion on my end? His property right now can have a restaurant or a shop or something along those lines if this ending in 27 variance is denied.
No, ma'am. So in order to do anything commercial in the PUD, the property owner has to get a conditional use permit.
Okay.
So if he's not successful with this plan, he would have to come up with
With a different
a
plan
different
completely.
application. Or,
Okay. What is he allowed to build without getting a conditional use?
residential is permitted by right, which
Okay.
I don't think is the plan there.
Okay, so nothing near
The
this.
overall plan that was approved in 82, had this marked for commercial.
I would agree that I believe that,
Yeah,
that
it was a
what the
business,
township
which is a
expected
thing.
at some point it would be some kind of commercial based
Right,
on
it
its
was,
location on Crowell Road.
Just a B. Zone is just a B, then that was prior to 44 being a highway.
No,
Are you
No,
talking about
he
the
was talking about the late
1961?
'80s when the
The late
PUD
80s.
was approved by
Okay.
the trustees in 1986. There was an overall plan, and I've seen versions of that plan that it indicated that the thought was that this area would be some kind of commercial, but no conditional use permit was ever granted that we're aware of,
right,
which is why he's
But-
here tonight.
because they didn't draw out the whole plan. They'd have to draw the whole plan out like what we're doing here. Because you don't know what you can do there until it's approved.
But this isn't even your plan.
Right.
Because now you're saying there's no drive-through, there's no locations for dumpsters.
Well, I I asked if we should take the drive-through out, and I could have had a plan here with it out of there, but we were told we didn't have to do that.
And is the land bank parking in your final total of parking numbers?
Pardon?
The land bank parking you have shown, is that part of that total of 59 spaces?
No.
Okay.
Who owns the land? Who owns the land banking? Bank parking spaces.
We do.
Okay. Oh, I see.
I don't know. I mean, Mr. Victor, did you look at? I'm sure you did. I just want to make sure the conditional use permit requirements in 13.05. Are you familiar with those in the zoning code?
Some of them, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't have it with me, but
I mean, I don't know. Like there's a few of them I get a little hung up on, and one is maybe that will not be hazardous or disturbing to the existing and future use and enjoyment of the property in the immediate vicinity of the uses permitted, or substantially diminish the impaired property values within the neighborhood. I mean, that's the one. That's one of them that I get hung up on, is that we have this residential development, off of Hunting Lake Drive. A lot of people that live there, and then we're introducing this commercial development that really has one main entrance off of Hunting Lake Drive. Someone's definition of hazardous or disturbing, I mean, could vary. To me, it feels like it might be. I don't know. Did you think about that, or do you have considerations, or did you?
well, that's the whole, I mean, it was always zoned, meant for commercial. That's what it was bought for, and that's what it was approved for in 1986.
Did you buy that property in 1980? Like when you bought it in
We bought
1986, it was
in
commercial. Is that what you're
2004,
claiming? When you bought it in 2004, was it commercial usage or was it residential usage?
commercial.
And then you, maybe not you, but Victor Construction changed all of it to residential.
No,
Hey, please.
the back part was always residential. It was for multi-family.
Okay.
We changed it to single. Well, it's multi-family, but it's detached units where it had attached product back there before.
So when did this piece of property that this piece change to residential?
This piece that we're using,
Or you're asking to use?
it was always spec'd for commercial on the original plan back in 1986.
Okay.
Ms. Scarcar, maybe I can help clarify
Please,
a
yeah.
little bit. So the property was zoned to plan unit development in 1986. The zoning designation has not changed since then. The land was vacant, not
Okay.
being used for anything up until now that it's been, now he's proposing to do something with it.
It's just like down where Lucky's is. Where Lucky's is, that was all part of the PUD.
Okay.
And all the bank buildings and everything, that was part of the PUD.
Yeah.
It's the same situation. And you drive in there to get to the development,
Yeah.
just like on this situation.
Okay, Heather, clarification then.
Sure.
If he's saying this is for commercial and it's zoned as commercial and has been since 1986,
It's not zoned commercial. I would
It
say
is
that's
not
not,
zoned
no,
commercial.
it is zoned plan unit development.
Okay.
And in the plan unit development, there are a list of permitted and conditionally permitted uses that you are allowed to do.
okay,
And one of them not permitted is a restaurant with a drive-through service.
okay.
Right.
Which is
That's
not
why we were taking the drive-through out.
But so the warehouse is not permitted under the PUDs.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
But we can, I mean,
And certain retail is not permitted, so that's where part of the struggle too is the zoning PUD is fine. Some of the uses could work here, but how it all comes together.
Yes. Okay. So there's just a lot of pieces on this one piece of property that we're very unsure of, and it seems like you are a little unsure as well, given you don't know who will or won't be in there.
Well, at that time, we can,
Right now, you are unsure who will be in there.
well, I know we will be in there, but the other pieces, they would have to come get their permit here, wouldn't they, for their, to be able to go in there? You would have to tell me that.
Oh, yeah, so,
If we approve everything the way he has it here, would I don't know, I'm going to use Starbucks because we have it down the street already. Would a Starbucks be allowed to go on there in a drive-through without coming back to us?
no ma'am.
Okay. So they still have to come back to us no matter what the...
Right.
No, I don't think, I mean, well, I don't know, because if we approve it and the drive-through's prohibited, even if we give them a conditional use permit, it's not prohibited. They'd have to come back for a variance for a drive-through facility, I guess. But again, that's, I don't know. I mean, that's maybe a little discussion for us up here, but.
You would I would think you would have to come back for a variance for the drive-through at the time, if they would want to go in there. We're not building any building out there anyway until someone would want it.
Yeah,
And then at that time, we would have to come in here to make sure it's permitted, whatever they want to go in there.
my struggle right now, I guess, and I'll let Skip talk for a little bit too, and actually if she's done. But it's like when I look at 13.05, there's an A through L. There's a few of those conditionals, portions of that conditional use permit. Like I mentioned, the one hazardous or disturbing to existing and future use and employment of the property in the immediate vicinity for the uses permitted, or substantially diminish or impair property values. I wonder if what we have on the table doesn't meet that. You
Well,
know,
this isn't even near the residential. You got the whole water tower. You got the whole water tower between there plus the pond.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, you're building commercial all the way down that line with residential behind it,
Yeah.
everywhere.
I'm not sure the biggest part is the commercial, it's the warehouse.
At some point, commercial butts up to residential.
Yeah, at some point.
It's not the commercial issue, it's the warehouse, I think that.
But in,
Because there's some commercial uses he doesn't need to come to us for, because that is what it
in this
partially zoned for.
in this instance, we have the whole water tower between. We're butting up to the water tower. That's what we're butting up to.
But everybody that's getting to your site's coming through that residential street, right? The main access is off of Hunting Lake Drive, so it is going to impact the residential properties off of.
Just like down at the other end,
Yeah,
where the grocery store is and everything.
yeah. Okay.
Okay, so Mr. Victor, I have another question regarding this warehouse, and Heather, maybe you can chime in too a little. In just straight office space, is that currently permitted with the PUD without a variance? Not a warehouse, just a straight office space. Is that currently allowed?
Yes, however, he would still first need to come and get a conditional use permit to do anything commercial.
Yeah.
Okay,
anything
So
we do,
if
we
he
have to
doesn't
get the
have that,
conditional use.
he can't
Okay,
build a building
that's
and
fine.
get any tenants, so.
So your current office space, is it a warehouse or where you are operating out of? Is it a warehouse or is it a just typical office?
Well, we have warehouse attached to it, but it's all rented out to other people.
So your construction business is not operating out of a warehouse right now.
No,
Is there need for
We only
growth
have-
of your company to be operating out of a warehouse versus having simply just an office building or what you're using now?
we would, is there need to have warehouse? We would like a garage,
For personal use for cars.
right?
Okay. Other than the personal use for the cars aspect, is there a need for your company to be operating out of a warehouse versus a normal office building?
We would need a little bit of storage space for, like a window or a door that we have or leftover trim.
Are you storing that currently at your current office space?
Yes,
In a warehouse or in an office space?
in a garage. A one-bay garage down below our office.
Okay. size of the garage? Is it like a 1-car garage or is it a
It's a 1-car garage.
Your standard. Okay.
Skip, do you have any questions?
Well, I mean, I don't even know where to start. I think we have a procedural issue that we need to overcome first. And that is, I mean, there's a bleeding between the commercial use and the variance applications. And it's confusing the heck out of me. I don't know about y'all, but I mean, as presented, the first order of business is a conditional use permit application that we're to vote on. And it's completely intertwined with all the variance applications. And I don't know how that can proceed, because if you want us to consider the conditional use application, well then you got to have all these, parking spots, and but that takes the variance, and then the parking spots. If we grant the parking spots, we also have to grant the reduction in the side lot requirement. So I don't know how we can vote on this as it's presented. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
And then I have questions about the building itself, and I don't know if the code section says the words warehouse in it.
For
And if-
permitted uses or prohibited?
Either.
Under permitted uses, it says professional offices. I do not see any explanation of warehouse being permitted, so therefore it's prohibited.
Gotcha. All right. And I think my concern, Mr. Victor, is that, and maybe everyone else, is that as it relates to this warehouse word, okay, you want a garage. I understand you want a garage.
You
I
can
get
take
that.
it out and put garage there then.
Right. I mean, I get that, but I don't think that the writers of this wanted warehousing
Well, we
things
wrote
going
it.
on, meaning large trucks coming in.
We're the
lots
ones
of
that
stuff
wrote that, so.
Right. Well, you wrote it, so I mean,
Right.
I've got to address it. So
Right.
if you left it out, we wouldn't, I wouldn't need to ask you about it. But that's the concern here. So I don't know how to.
I know
I don't know how to vote on this.
I know in
as-
our eyes, we don't know. I mean, we got to come in and try and get approval for something because we can't design a building until we know what we can do.
And I get that. And I think
Yeah.
that's the next step. But I think what you need to do now, or any applicant needs to do, is to get approval for some use. You've got a very narrow use here. And I mean, I have no
Well,
problem with you using your property any way you want.
It does
but-
say restaurants and retail.
Yeah, and you can
allowed.
have a restaurant. But I think we're putting the cart before the horse.
Right.
Okay.
And we don't have a restaurant or.
I have serious concerns with this exit. I went out there today and I parked my car right near where this proposed exit would be and just sat there. And I just looked around and there wasn't a whole lot of traffic. But that is really, that's very close to residential. Okay. And what's to keep anybody from hanging a left out of there and cutting through? What, is it going to happen a lot? Probably not, because people don't want to go through that.
That's a big weave.
Yeah, it's a
through there,
huge
so-
weave, and it kind of takes care of itself, so to speak.
Right.
But I have a problem with that exit. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself. So I guess Heather and Friday, I need your.
Can I just
guidance.
say that
Yeah.
we do have to separate them because they're two different things. And the conditional use permit, and legal counsel could correct me, is allowing a conditional use on this building, but based on, I think we have to take into consideration the site plan, okay?
Sure.
It doesn't mean, and what
If you
potentially,
would want to table it, and then I can get you a new site plan for the next meeting.
but we also have to consider the potential uses that he's, putting in there, I would feel more comfortable if he knew, hey, it's gonna be our office space and one restaurant and one, additional office building. I would feel better about approving a conditional use permit if we knew a little bit of more detail of what it's going to be.
I agree.
But I'm also very uncomfortable with the traffic patterns. Not just at Hunting Lake Drive on Carlisle Road. Again, I live this way, and I drive that area, and that going around that bend, and you're going to have a exit in and out of there. That's why I asked the question about if a traffic study was done. I wouldn't be even comfortable taking a right out of there. I don't know, again, if that's the right spot for it, and I don't know what the right solution is, and that's not a problem. But I'm not 100% convinced that we should even approve the conditional use permit. But I feel like I could separate that from the variances, because if we do approve it, we can look at the variances separately, and they're going to impact his final site plan if we approve them or don't approve them.
Well, I could separate it too. That's not the issue. The issue is what he's got in front of us. I don't want that being set in stone, because when we go ahead and approve this thing, if we approve it, and he's going to say, I mean, I don't know if he's going to make the garage larger, or maybe even warehouse out of it, or maybe, but then that's your tenant. That's someone coming in at a later date asking if they want to put something
Well,
else
they
in
have
there.
don't they have to get a permit from you guys
Yeah.
to be able to be in there?
Yes, a zoning permit is required for.
Yeah, zoning permit, so.
Yeah.
I think
But
my-
as presented, if you make a representation that you're taking out any drive-through, I mean, it makes life easier. I mean, I don't think that you're going to be warehousing, honestly, to be honest.
No, we're not.
I just don't. It's not the nature of your business, not
Right.
there at least. So I'm with you, Yvonne. I could look past it and we can take a vote on it.
Right. Or we can ask for an updated site plan.
Yeah,
Which,
it's up to
might
you.
not, which may change our opinion, might not change our opinion.
Right.
And again, just because it's the PUD zoned it as commercial, doesn't mean this is the right place to do commercial development. That's why we have to give it has a conditional use permit approval. Or maybe it feels like, and again, maybe this is open, should be more discussion for a board. Just feels like there's too much going on in one small site.
Yeah, I agree. There's too much. It seems like there's too much that's weighing on in the variance ask of 142. I think for me, the largest items are not fully knowing what is going to be, as he has it in here, as phase 2. But it also looks like everything is planned. What you're giving us in the one ending in 27 has 53 or 59. I have not counted directly all of the parking spots, and you're asking us to approve that when not necessarily the variance would be approved of 142. So seeing what it would look like without the variances as well. So approving it as code is, and then having a variance, I don't see how that could.
So Mr. Victor, do we have, like, is this what you need for commercial space wise? The amount of square footage that you need to make this property viable for you? I mean, would you when you say relook at this, I mean, would you do less commercial building, or less parking? I mean, the land bank parking, I think you're gonna end up needing it. If this were approved, I think you're gonna need it. And I'll tell you right now, I don't like it. I don't think that's safe, that parking. You got a lot of people that are gonna be going out that way, backing into a pretty busy, it's a driveway, not a drive aisle, So is that something that you would, maybe consider as doing less development here? Or is this kind of like where you need it to be to make sense?
Well, the building was going to be a little bit smaller than what we're showing there, because it's not going to be completely square. It's going to be in and out with some design. So, but we don't know what we can do, like I told you. So we got to be able to know what we can do before we spend
To represent it
thousands
to
of dollars
potential
on
tenants.
architectural
Yeah.
drawings. So.
I don't think tenants, you could for sure put a restaurant in there.
But the part that's not going to be used is just going to be a shell. So there could be one more tenant to come in there to take the rest of it, possibly. or there could be 2 or 3. It just depends, what square footage people
Yeah,
need.
is there, because these are so intertwined, okay, the variances and the conditional use, is it possible that you could maybe just kind of re-envision this?
For,
Make it easier, that it's not going to be so confusing.
well, we can take out
and
we can take out
complicated.
the variance request for the drive-through.
Right.
We can give you a new site plan, so maybe that will help some. But
What about the ingresses and the egresses? I'm with Yvonne. Both of those, and I know a corner lot on a curb, that's hard. I get it.
there's no other way to.
Well,
every-
that's not true.
I mean,
It seems like there's a lot getting pushed into a very small piece of property, and even talking to you right now, the concerns we bring up, very quickly you're willing to say, well, this isn't right. It should be actually an L shape, and well, we'll get rid of the drive-through, or where I don't feel comfortable in the sense of knowing what we're actually approving,
Right.
because it seems like what you want is not set in stone for the property.
But he needs to know what he can do in order to
we
market
have
it
to
to
come
tenants.
back with
So
the plans for approval from, where do we go from that?
Right, but a plan that wouldn't include extra variances of less parking spots, wouldn't include a drive-through, wouldn't include the there's so many extra variances and things included in this plan. It's for what this plan shows of envisioning. There's so many pieces, parts, and variances where it almost looks like there's too much for this small property.
Well, one's our garage,
Okay.
and one's the drive-through that we're taking out. So two of them are. I mean, we can come back in and show you the blueprint that we want to do and see if it gets approved with the garage later. So you can take that out too if you wanted to.
So I go right back to you're taking a lot out that is not what is in front of us. So I struggle approving what's in front of us when you're already just verbally.
Well, because it sounds like, you don't want it, so. But the drive-through, if someone wants a drive-through, they can try and come back to you guys later, because we're not building that building until someone wants to use it
phase
for
two.
something. And if they want to come back and
Another
try and get
question.
approval later for it, then they can try and do that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Whoever the tenant would be.
The entrance on Huntington Lake Drive? That is part of phase 1. Correct? It looks like you have phase 1, which is your warehouse.
Right.
And that entrance on Huntington Lake is part of phase 1.
Right.
Okay. Is that required to have that entrance?
That's where,
Or is that where you want the entrance?
well, that's where, when we met with you guys, you suggested to put it. You're gonna have to have an entrance somewhere on that street.
On
It was
Huntington
always
Lake.
meant to have an entrance on that street, and that's the farthest back that we can put it.
Ms. Scarcar, if you don't mind, I can add to that.
Yes, please.
We did meet with Mr. Victor informally to discuss a version of this plan, and originally the entrance on Hunting Lake was closer to Cryle. And so our comment was to try to move that back away from Cryle to prevent any kind of traffic backups on Cryle, and that's what he's referring to as far as us asking him to move it more east.
So an entrance on Huntington Lake is needed.
I don't know if it's needed or not. I mean,
Has there been any road
no,
studies
there's no studies done that I've known that Mr. Victor has shared with us.
of whether that's needed or not?
Well, you can't put 2 on Cryle.
Why do you need 2 entrances?
Well, Lake County's not gonna allow us to have one entrance for this site on Cryle Road.
Do we have that from Lake County Development Planning? Do we have any?
No, but I know that they won't allow that. They're not gonna allow that. I guarantee it.
Okay. Skip, do you have any more questions?
There's gonna,
I just think I don't think that we can address these as presented. I just don't. I mean, if you want us to go ahead and vote on them, I'm happy to do that. But I just, there's too many questions. There's too many confusing pieces and parts here. And none of them seem to make any sense. I mean, quite frankly, Mr. Victor, it doesn't seem, and with all due respect, it doesn't seem like this was thought out very well. Okay? And I think maybe you need to table this, and I think you need to go back and you need to present something that does not present us with so many questions and concerns. That's just a suggestion. But if you want me to go ahead and vote on it tonight, I'm happy to do that.
well, we'll table it and get a new site plan to you. It's a little cleaner and take off a couple of the variances.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to ask for things with the new site plan?
I'm not a zoning expert, and I'm not a commercial real estate person. But as I see the code in front of me, and I see your application, and I'm not, believe me, I'm not like criticizing you. I'm just, I think that
We changed this 4 times, so.
I get it.
I mean, it's
I-
hard to.
I get it, but
Yeah.
I think that maybe you need to pare back your zoning request for conditional use to the things that you really want. But to me, it doesn't seem like you know what you want. So there's the problem.
Well, we know what we want,
Okay, and if this is it,
yes.
all right.
But-
Well, then tabling it probably isn't going to do much.
No.
Well, what about the drive-through in the,
The drive-through's
But
on
again, this is where
142, not on 27.
This is where the procedural areas. This is where it gets. You're talking about drive-through. That's fine, but I'm talking about variances that need to be considered in conjunction with considering the application for conditional use. I don't think that's appropriate or possible.
So,
I know I'm
Question?
so
That doesn't answer anything,
I
but
guess we could continue tonight and continue with the process tonight and have the rest of the folks come up that we want to give them a chance to speak, or we can table this and come back with whatever you're going to come back. We still whatever it is, we have to consider it and and again have you present it, consider it, let the public speak their provide their comments and then make our determination. We can't just what we're saying is if you want to make modifications, great.
Yeah,
you do know that the drive-through is prohibited.
we'll make more modifications.
Yeah.
We'll table it and make the modifications and come back and
right,
take
because
it out.
as presented, you're presenting something that's prohibited, not one but two things. Your own words, warehouse was used,
We'll put a,
and drive-through. So if you do, yeah, I think that would help a lot.
And I'd say tabling with new site plans, I am allowed to make comments and requests or suggestions.
just,
With a new site plan, if you're just doing something simple like this, I think for at least me personally, significantly easier to look at and approve or deny is if there is a plan that has the correct amount of parking. If you're asking for the 2 entrances off Huntington Lake and Cryle Road, having a report done by the county that's stating you have to have it, other than just your good faith of, I know this is what they're gonna do, having a little more concrete evidence of, hey, Lake County's gonna say we need both entrances.
They're,
In a plan that doesn't have all these variances. Once you get your plan approved, that
not
states
gonna-
what you can, then you can go back and a lot easier do the variances of 25 feet or
they
all those
don't,
extra things.
they don't want entrances right next to another road coming out. I know that for a fact.
So could you get that in writing to,
Yeah, I could.
those are the kinds of things of having the two, of why, helping your case of why you need the two entrances.
Okay.
Versus, I understand not wanting to spend a lot of money prior to not knowing what we would approve or deny of. So I understand maybe not wanting to do a road study, but at least something stating that they
Okay.
wouldn't appreciate that, the county with.
Sure. And now that we've got how many spots we need, we'll just come in with that
With the 80 spots.
instead of having the land bank, because she was confused. Laura was confused about that. Heather.
Okay.
I just
Okay.
think, I mean, we gave you some input. I just say, look at 13.05. I don't think the plan here, and I don't even think that all of our comments address, some of the issues that would, reasons we have to provide to approve a conditional use permit. It just doesn't, meet it. So,
Yeah, going back to the original approval in 1986, it was approved. It was always meant on that plan, it said commercial in this section.
yeah.
That's why the water tower was put on the commercial piece.
So I don't think there's an issue with it being commercial or not. It's just the amount of extra variances that are looped together. Where if we could see a commercial plan that is not requesting all these extra variances. So that way yes, I can build commercial, okay, now what variances do I need to build the correct building? I just feel this plan has way too many variances needed in a very small space with a lot of stuff.
Any other comments or questions? So I think procedurally, we asked Mr. Victor to request us to table this and we vote on it, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so, and we don't have to move forward with the public meeting this evening, correct?
It's totally your call.
Okay.
Some of the comments actually might be helpful to Mr. Victor
Yes.
in the sense of revising the plan.
That's a
But
good
at the
point.
same time, it's definitely the board's call.
Okay,
So also with that done legal, what's the difference between knowing that he's he's saying right now he'll do a different site plan, potentially table it. What would be the difference between voting on it now, potentially denying it, and him just starting completely from scratch versus tabling? What is the difference for his side of it? A table versus starting from scratch?
It could be raised judicata if he comes back with something that's at all similar. I think it would just be better if you just table it, not
Okay.
rule on it, and that way he has the chance to amend.
Okay.
okay.
Mr. Chairman, I agree with council about letting the public speak could help Mr. Victor, and then if he decides that he wants to address those comments tonight and or still want to table after hearing everything, that
Okay,
would be at
Okay.
discretion, but
yeah, I think it's a great point. If you could be seated, Mr. Victor. So I just want to just note from the record that the township did receive 13 emails from various residents, all of which were against the conditional use permit and the variances. So just wanted everyone to know that we did receive those, and those have all been shared with all the members of the board, even the members that are not here this evening. So with that being said, I'm gonna start with this side of the room. Okay, maybe if we start with the people up front and we work our way towards the back, ask you to come up to the microphone again, state your name, address, confirm you've been sworn in. Hopefully you have been, and then kind of provide us your comment. And then we might have questions for you, we may not, and then be seated and we'll let the next person go. So anybody in the first row like to come up?
Tom Forsyth, 7891 Hunting Lake Drive. I have a few
You've
comments.
been sworn in, sir.
Yes, I have been sworn in. I have a few comments that I'll make in a minute, but one of the things that might help Mr. Victor, if you look at the strict definition of a warehouse, and if that were to be conditionally approved, the definition of a warehouse says you're going to stock, store goods for distribution to some other point. So I think what he's looking for is a garage, which would add additional parking spaces rather than a warehouse. But I don't think saying, okay, we're going to get the conditional use for a warehouse, but it's going to be a garage. And then in 2 months, all of a sudden we find out that there's semi-tractor trailers coming in and out of the property, storing goods for future distribution. It's just a point to be made. And I know that you've received various emails about the hours of operation, intrusive lighting, increased traffic, the lack of pedestrian safety, accommodations of that. The truck traffic and a loading dock, and that would be the restaurant type of situation where I've seen USA Foods, it's a semi-tractor trailer next to the Waffle House, and I can imagine that sitting on Hunting Lake Drive, unloading goods into that restaurant. And that's a little bit too much for me, and I'm sure the other residents. Congestion of that intersection, we already have certain development coming in, would even make it more congested. One of the things that, and I understand that things change in time, but one of the things Mr. Victor pointed out was that it was originally zoned in 1986 as commercial. However, Quail Hollow is a community, didn't come that far in 1986.
Yes.
At that point in time, Cryle could have been a complete commercial zone.
Yes.
Where you're talking about a significant buffer of woodlands and golf course separating homes. And yes, we might be down the street, but it's not that far. And I would hate like heck to see Concord Township turn into, and Cryle, a Menor Avenue, where businesses are encroaching right on residences, and the traffic on side streets is so intrusive that we don't want to live here anymore. I moved here 2 years ago, a little bit more than 2 years ago, because I liked the bucolic nature of Concord Township. It was a dream of mine. I grew up in Lake County, the eastern part of Lake County. And to be in Concord Township, I'm not going to say it was a dream of mine, but to finally do it was an accomplishment for me in my life. And I don't want to see it change in a derogatory manner to the point where commercialization is taking precedence over what Concord Township has and has always been in Lake County, which is a beautiful bucolic community. And I'm sure the folks here share my beliefs in that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Board, you guys good? Who's next? Anyone else from the first row?
Well, I'll tell you, this is certainly shortened my presentation. Here's a list of 86 signatures from people in High Grove and the immediate Quail 10 who are against the variances. So you can hear me in the back. Oh, I'm sorry, Karen Kincaid, 7894 Hunting Lake Drive, and I was sworn in. You know, with the entrance on Hunting Lake, it's everyone's concern about the traffic. It's turned into pretty much a senior citizen street there, and you got a lot of seniors walking our dogs, walking our grandchildren. There's no sidewalks. Bikers are coming through there all the time to get over to the Highland Trail. So we've got a lot of people living their lives in there, and to have all this commercial stuff coming in, trucks, commercial trucks, contracting trucks and everything, it's really, it is a hazard to us over there. I'm going to disagree with the Lake County rule that you have to have 2 entrances, because I drove around the immediate community this afternoon, and there's all kinds of businesses that have 1 entrance. B&B Bradley right on Cryle has 1 entrance. Panini has 1 entrance. The Med Spa has one entrance, and they've got all kinds of businesses back there. McDonald's has one entrance. Not Speedway? Sheets. Sheets has one entrance. So I find it hard to, Sheets has one, it's off the street, but they only have one entrance going through that little street that they put in there. There's only one entrance there. So I find it hard to believe that for this little development that we would have to have two entrances. One of the original plans that I saw was that they would take the access road and pave that, and that would be an entrance. So why can't that access road be the entrance and not Hunting Lake? Where I see it comes out, where the creamery is going to be, if they kind of just bend it a little bit, it would be more like a four-way intersection there. So I'm kind of thinking, we've got four-way intersections all over the world, and they don't seem to be a hazard. So why do we have to have an entrance on Hunting Lake? One of my other concerns is, and we've all had this problem since we moved into Quail 10, is the water. I saw in there too that there's going to be a retention pond. Big questions about this retention pond and where it's going to flow and how it's going to affect the retention pond at Quail 10. Who's responsible for dredging Quail 10 when it has to be dredged? Now I know somebody's responsible for the inlet on this side, somebody's responsible for the inlet on this side. We are responsible for the water quality. Well, we don't yet know when in 20, 30 years when this thing needs to be dredged, who's responsible for that. So now we're going to have all of Ivy Ridge. They got two retention ponds going into these storm sewers. Now we're going to have this one going into the storm sewer. The storm sewers are big. I saw them putting them in. But are they going to be big enough when we have a really good storm? Is our pond going to fill up? Is all this water going to go into our pond? What's it going to do to the life of our pond?
Yeah, that'll happen with the engineering as it goes forward in the future phases. I mean, the county will have to approve anything that they do for stormwater.
Okay, and as far as the water, I saw in there something about drawing water from Hunting Lake or from Cryle. Our water pressure is horrendous in Hunting Lake. Please don't draw any water from Hunting Lake. We can't water our lawns as it is. Some people have a hard time taking showers, so please don't affect our water on Hunting Lake. They talked about the noise levels. I live like right on the golf course, right where the wetlands are. I can hear at nighttime when it's really quiet. I already can hear the traffic on 44. I can hear the music in the summertime up at Red Hawk. So you start taking down all these trees, these natural barriers. What's it going to do to our noise level? The dumpsters are a big question. The dumpsters are a big question for me because where the other restaurants are, they're not right up against residences. So these dumpsters, there's kind of a barrier there for the rodents and the dumpsters not coming right onto, looking onto our properties. What else? I'm wondering if we create these variances now, what's going to happen down the road? I'll tell you, if these variances get approved now, when he wants to develop the south side, we're all going to be right back here again with the same issues and the same questions. I've got item G, I, J, K. We have problems with all of those things. We know it wants to be developed. And to my knowledge, when I look at the zoning maps, it's zoned R2. It's not zoned commercial. So that would be something to look at too. That's what I see. So I'm going to close mine with an old Joni Mitchell song from the 70s, and you guys are probably all too young to know it, but it goes at the end, don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone. They paved paradise and put up a parking lot. So if you would just keep that in mind.
Come on up.
Good evening. My name is Linda Bensick, and I live at 7838 Hunting Lake Drive, and I have been sworn in. This all seems to me to be a very simple issue. Follow the guidelines. Concord Township zoned the area at the corner of Crowell and Hunting Lake as R2, as was just mentioned. This allows for many uses, including over 30 different kinds of retail type things, and it's in keeping with the future plans of the township. And I'm assuming, since that was so long ago that it was zoned that way, that when Mr. Victor bought that property, it was zoned that way, so he's aware of that. You're going to hear so many comments tonight that I'm not going to list all of them about the safety concerns and everything like that, but I do oppose this development as it is totally presented, and definitely I'm against the drive-through. And I want to close with a quote from your website, which says, "Since any zoning is a restriction on the limited use of land by the owner, it must be reasonable and or protect public health and safety." That's right on your webpage. Approving these changes would go against all of that. So I urge you not to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else in that row? Anyone else on that side over there? Come on. Come on up.
I agree with everything. Very good.
Your
Nanette
name.
Horvath, 11263 High Grove. So I'm not directly on Hunting Lake.
You've been
but
sworn in, ma'am?
Yes, I have.
Thank you.
The entrance and the exit on on Hunting Lake is what is affecting a lot of us. I belong to a bicycle group that has close to 400 members. We meet at Jordan Creek once a week, but we also ride from the Lake Metro Parks Greenway Trail to the Maple Highlands Trail via Quail Hollow, because the bicycle trail was never approved to go through and connect. So on a Tuesday night, for example, there could be as many as 40 riders in separate groups, and I know everybody's seen us, riding there to get to Cryle, to get to the trails, one way or the other. It is dangerous right now because there's a lot of curves, and when two cars are coming, it seems like they're always there at the same time. So I think that that's one consideration that should be, it would be hazardous to us, or to anyone riding a cycle. I mean, there's a lot of cycling. There's a lot of walkers. Tonight when we were on the way here, there were walkers 3 abreast on Hunting Lake. They had reflective gear. There was also a dog walker with no lights. A lot of people walk. When we were going to move here, my thought was High Grove Villa was a family, and Hunting Lake is where all the dog walkers walk, where all the walkers walk, where the cyclists walk. So it is a hazard. It is going to be a hazard to have that driveway in and out.
Okay.
That's basically what I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Who's next over there?
I'm Dan Barron. I live at 7895 Hunting Lake, and I have been sworn in. I want to thank the committee. You raised most of the concerns that I had. And I do think it comes down to Mr. Victor just trying to cram too much into that lot. My understanding is there's 30 some businesses, commercial things that could go in under the R2 without need for variances. He initially proposed 2 that are prohibited, a drive-through and a warehouse. By removing the drive-through, if he wants a restaurant there at some point, it seems to me that means more parking spaces needed if it's not a drive-through operation, which goes against his request to reduce the number of parking spaces. I also want to underscore my concerns and objection to the variance request he was going to make to eliminate the setback from Hunting Lake. Obviously, that's an important one to us, that it be set back properly and properly landscaped and screened. So going forward, that's an issue I want to make sure is maintained. I understand he has perfect permission to, have access or egress onto Hunting Lake. Of course, none of us like that. To me, a possible solution is that currently dirt access road back to the water tower, that pushes access and egress a little bit further away from the intersection of Hunting Lake, a little safer, or just directly onto Cryle. A professional building there that faces Cryle and is properly landscaped and screened, I think, is the proper solution going forward. But he's just trying to put too much, into that plot.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anybody else over here that wants to come up? Come on. Yep, come on up.
Hello there and good evening, and I'd like to thank you all as well and for your knowledge and whatnot. My name is Lisa Wiltsey. I live at 7721 Woodstar Lane, and I have been sworn in. I am completely against any variant, any modification of the variance at all. I'd like it to stay at R2. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else on that side that can speak for or against the appeal? Come on up, sir.
Hello, my name is Richard Wiltsey, and I have followed your civil protocols of being sworn in. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wonder, a couple of years ago, we were in this place or another place similar to it, talking to our trustees, right? And there was a big to-do about all the development that was coming, and they assured us that, we want to get ahead of this so we don't create another, Menor Avenue, Vine Street type of stuff. Rather, they told us we would try to make it look something akin to Chagrin Falls or something that's of higher taste, if you will, as opposed to warehouses and whatnot. And now what we're seeing is we have a car wash going in when we have a car wash right down the road, another coffee place where we have a coffee place right down the road. And our fear is that's what they're turning it into, right? It's going to be another Vine Street. And if you've ever been on Vine Street, it's pretty rough on the eyes. So we have a beautiful community here, okay, the trees and all, and that's what attracted us out. And I agree totally with Nan, because I'm in her bike club too. There's a lot of bicycles and a lot of traffic on there. And if we've got more semis coming through, it's going to be, a health hazard, and it's just not good. So I'm not sure what the purpose of variances really are. The code is the code. It's meant to stop that kind of stuff. Why we allow variances on it, I don't know. I like progress, but let's make it tasteful, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Everyone good over there, I think. So anyone on this side like to come up?
Sure.
Okay.
Brian Avsek, 7818 Hunting Lake Drive, and yes, I've been sworn in.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I appreciate it. And a couple of things you pointed out that I'll just reiterate. A lot of folks have said it. Mr. Valentic mentioned the safety aspect, and I appreciate Mr. Sweeney for parking on that street. I just want to reiterate that Hunting Lake Drive is really an extension of the Greenway Trail. My office sits out there. I watch people all day long. The crazy bicyclists, which I love. I'm one of them too. I love going out there, but that's what I love about this. So I want to probably reiterate, Hunting Lake Drive is probably the most heavily pedestrian traffic in the entire township. So when it comes to safety, that's a really important part that I just, want to make sure you guys remember when we go through and making sure that trying to add a drive there, which is really going to impact that really goes against part of what the township is for the safety of the residents.
All right.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Dave Hall, 7806 Hunting Lake Drive, and yes, I've been sworn in. So what we've been discussing mostly is safety. I appreciate all you guys going through the variances and everything. Mr. Victor, if the best thing you can possibly do is if you have problems, you bring solutions with your problems to your boss. You always do. So if you have problems with the actual variances and everything, you need to prove and show in detailed documents on what you want to build. How are these buildings going to look? Are you going to just have vinyl siding up on them? Is it going to be a beautiful brick? We need to know these things so we are able to say, hey, this is a beautiful area. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to cut down the trees either. I don't want it on Hunting Lake either. One thing about Hunting Lake, we don't have sidewalks. The golf course is a private property. It has signs all over the place saying we're not allowed to walk on the golf course. So when you see everybody riding their bikes and walking, I have a 9-month-old, all right? I am the youngest guy that owns a house in that neighborhood. You guys zoned this in '86. I wasn't born when you zoned this, okay? So, we don't have sidewalks in there, so my wife and I walk our 9-month-old, it's in the streets. We already have a lot of traffic in there. We do got to consider the hazards. I appreciate you guys talking about it. Also, when Mr. Victor, you were discussing how close it is and how Lucky's is close, you get on Google Earth at any time, you can look at the satellite views. Every one of those places has standoff of at least 100 yards because of the golf course, the fairways, the trees, everything. Your development is backing straight up to those condos. There is not that much standoff between. If you look at everywhere down Cryle, we have large standoff. Again, I appreciate you guys doing it. Thank you for tabling it so you can bring it back at another time and we can hopefully talk about it again.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Hi, Chris Lazuka, 8130 North Orchard Road, and I have been sworn in. I think everything I was thinking has been stated already. Oh, by the way, our family owns the property north of this property on Cryle. So I'm here to oppose these variances and conditional use permit. Again, for a lot of the reasons that were already mentioned, but I guess to add to that, I know that you guys need to follow the conditional use permit requirements. One of which is that it is to be designed, constructed, operated, and maintained as to be harmonious and appropriate in appearance with the existing or intended character of the general vicinity, and that such use will not change the essential character of the same area. And to me, this is so obviously in violation of that. So I strongly urge a no vote whenever the final proposal comes. Thank you.
Really quick, so your property,
Yeah, we're on Cryle, right across from where the car wash is going in.
okay.
So opposing that, right on the turn.
It's
What's the address?
vacant?
It's vacant right now.
Yeah, okay.
It's the property just to the north of the access road to the water tower?
Yes.
What's the address of that property?
It's a parcel number. I don't think it has an address. It's just.
Okay.
Okay. And how big is that parcel?
3.2. Let me see a map. I have it.
No, I've seen it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Ms. Garkar, do you know what property it is? It's
No.
it's on the site plan directly to the north of the site.
Yeah.
Mr. Lazuka's family owns the parcel right here, north of the project site.
Okay. There was a statement that confused me. I thought Vector Constructing owned that.
No, going to the south. Across the street.
Thank you.
Yep.
John Bedrick, 7915 Hunting Lake Drive. I was sworn in. I totally agree with all the comments, and I appreciate your questions. They were excellent. The thing that I wasn't sure of, and I looked at a condensed map. If I'm correct, Hunting Lake Drive going east will be, the edge of that road going east will be within 10 to 15 feet of the back of the first building on Cryle Road. Is that correct? Could you look at your map?
Can you repeat the question?
I don't think so.
On Cryle, how far is it from the road itself?
The building?
The building, the back of the building.
That's pretty far off of Cryle Road, the back of the building.
Of the proposed plan?
Yes.
Well,
How far back?
I'd say there was a potential variance ask of 25 feet for the front of the building, wasn't there?
Not the frontage on Cryle, on Hunting Lake. From the edge of the road to the back of the property, the proposed.
I bet it's over 300 feet.
300 feet, is that correct, Todd? I think it's closer than 300 feet.
I guess I'm confused of what
Now I'm
building.
talking about if you're going east on Hunting Lake Road, coming off of Cryle, and you're going east.
Going this way.
Yes.
This back.
Okay, the back of the property will face Hunting Lake Road, correct?
Here's Hunting Lake Road. Here's
Yes.
the building. The building faces
Yes.
this way. This is the
How
side.
far is it?
This side or the back?
The back of the property from Hunting Lake Road.
I'm not really sure what you're asking, to be honest.
Yeah, I
It
don't.
looks like it's awful close.
There's no side lot encroachment that I can see
Yeah,
of anything.
it's
Okay.
all within the zoning.
Okay, well, my question is, somebody said 300 feet, somebody said less. Do we know exactly what it is?
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, there's no setbacks provided on the site plan. So right now, we don't have the actual proposed
Okay.
setbacks from the road.
Okay. Now, Hunting Lake Road, if I'm correct, goes through, all the way through, it travels for probably 1.5 miles, 2 miles, all the way out to the exit point on the side street. All of the entrances to the complex, the Quail Hollow project, all of the entrances are very decorative. Is there any reason why we can't have a decorative front entrance on Cryle Road, both on the left side and the right side, to block off some of that proposed building?
Great question. If there was landscaping, that's something.
Landscaping, we'll pay for it. I think most of the people here.
Well, I don't know if you should speak for everybody
Have the
here,
landscaping
but I mean,
I don't think that's our
everyone,
problem.
please. I mean, you can put that. Well, Mr. Victor's hearing that.
Todd, it's a good idea.
All your comments should be,
It's not a
sir,
bad idea.
sir. You gotta address
I'm
us.
I'm sorry. I
Yep, we
apologize.
want to keep this moving. Address us, so he's hearing that in the proposed site plan that he thinks about some landscape or how he would landscape along Hunting Lake Drive to buffer the entrance there.
But every entrance coming into the Quail Hollow development has beautiful landscaping at the entrances. And Cryle Road is probably going to be the most important entrance into that whole complex. Am I correct?
But this project isn't intended to deal with that issue.
I know that, but it's just an afterthought.
Yeah,
Because somewhere, some way, the whole area of Cryle Road, and I don't want to turn into another Vine Street.
We've heard that. Understand.
And I think you guys, conveyed that as
I
much.
understand what
Because
you're
it is a
saying.
residential area.
I do have a question though for legal and Heather.
No, that's it. That's pretty much
for
it.
what your statement is though, this landscaping question, that other than setbacks of building, that does not go through us. Isn't landscaping through the actual site plan, which would be zoning commission, not us? We don't approve. Do we approve?
We're not
the
approving this.
We don't approve the landscaping.
You're
in
not
general.
approving the landscaping.
We
plan.
never
That's
would
not your
approve the
job.
landscaping.
Right.
No.
That would be
Like-
a completely different body.
Well, that's why I
Okay.
addressed Todd on there, because right now there's just real estate signs there.
Yeah. Yeah,
And I
that's-
thought
But-
eventually it's gonna have something.
Yeah, that
That's
is
not
nothing.
our body that will deal with that, though.
No, it's just
Okay.
a thought.
Okay.
You know,
Real estate signs in that said commercial before anyone's lived there.
well, yeah, but that was 1985.
Todd, please, Todd, let's just, I know. Well, we'll give you a chance to, if you want to say something before we leave. Okay, anything else, sir?
That's it.
Thank you. Please be seated.
Can I just address that issue?
No, because that's not an issue
I'll clear
for,
it up.
no, you guys can handle that outside of this. That's not an issue.
That's an issue
the
for zoning commission, not us. We do not approve landscaping.
Michael Bensick, 7838 Hunting Lake Drive. I've been sworn in. Like Mr. Sweeney, I'm as confused about all this after 45 minutes as anything else. My notes that I was going to read to are now trash. But I will go over this in the context of what the original proposal was that was put forth today for you guys to listen to. Basically, the conditional use permits as laid out in section 1305 of the zoning resolution, Mr. Valentic already noted, there are probably 3 or 4 standards that I believe are not met. In addition, when you look at the review criteria outlined in the zoning information sheet number 8, to determine if the variance requests are warranted, there are probably no less than 6 criteria that are not met. And it goes without saying that I'm adamantly opposed to both the conditional use permit and the variance request. If you want to pull in history like 1982 or 1985 or whatever, back in 2006, your Auburn-Crowell Road business study already identified traffic volumes and accidents as issues. That was 18 years ago, and now we're looking to exacerbate those issues through this proposal. This certainly seems to be a contradiction to the broader township plan that discusses development in terms of public safety and the protection of property and property values. I already noted there's a bunch of cyclists in here. I cycle. There are no sidewalks. It is dangerous right now. It will be more dangerous. And think of this in the context not just of him putting in his office building and 3 to 5 cars coming in. I tend to look at this, and I would hope you do as well, what's going in and what's going in the future, not only in this parcel, but on other parcels along Cryle and the town center. That's going to create far more traffic than you see now. So when we talk about traffic studies, I hope they think of it that way as opposed to an off-the-cuff comment that the Lake County engineers or zoning or whatever it is says, oh, it's not an issue, I'll get some signed affidavit. Many forward-thinking cities and towns across the country are looking to integrate more pedestrian or cycling-friendly options into their development. This goes in the absolute opposite direction that and will create more safety hazards. And to throw out everybody's favorite city, Menor, actually, this city is far behind Menor when it comes to developing infrastructure to support cycling safety. I found that very interesting. This is zoned R2. It is not zoned commercial, so please let's make sure that we're clear on that. I believe there is within the PUD a commercial part, but this is not zoned commercial. The incremental tax or sales dollars from a drive-through versus another business at this location will likely be minimal at best, in part because you'll be cannibalizing existing businesses within less than a 1-mile radius of this location. Whether it's a coffee shop, a drive-through, whatever it is. It will not make or break the township, nor will it dissuade future development in the area. The only losers in this are the people who live on Hunting Lake Drive. These issues are not that I've raised and others have raised with regard to this proposal are neither trivial nor intermittent. They are real and ongoing and will only get exacerbated with future development. All these are intertwined and create the same issues, but with a multiplier effect. I'm not anti-development, some may think I am, but I am against poorly conceived development or development that uses exceptions when none are needed and which seem to benefit a few to the detriment of many. You have an opportunity to view this proposal in a manner that doesn't create hardship for the adjacent residential community while still allowing the developer his right to develop his property in a responsible way. And finally, I would ask anyone on the board, because I have asked this of Heather, if anyone can point to any developer or any situation where a similar ingress egress from a commercial development onto a residential road takes place. No one has been able to respond to me in that regard. So if there is another one in Concord Township, I'd love to know where it is and why it was allowed to be put in. And my last point, This is really speaking to something Mr. Victor brought up regarding Friedel Drive, and I believe one of my neighbors already brought this. The golf course is a buffer there. So the idea that you just have a water tower and the water tower is the buffer, that doesn't exist anywhere else within this community. The golf course is a buffer for any of that commercial development on Friedel before you get into the residential area. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else that's left?
I just got a question.
You gotta come up, sir. It's gotta happen at the podium. Your name?
Hi, my name is Jim Hunch. I live at 11217 Sire Court, and I got sworn in. This was tabled tonight, correct? Everything that we've sat and heard?
It potentially is gonna be tabled, yes.
Okay, let me ask a question. If it's tabled or it's denied, is the public invited back
Yes.
for the next meeting?
Yes.
That's all I wanted. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that'd like to speak for or against this appeal this evening? Okay, Mr. Victor, could you come back up one more time?
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question before Mr. Victor speaks? I think either Heather or legal, I don't know.
Go ahead.
There has been from Mr. Victor as well as from residents some discrepancy of what it is currently zoned. It is currently zoned R2. PUD.
Yes.
So just because there's an R, that does not mean it is not zoned residential. It is zoned R2 PUD.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify that.
The whole site of the Hunt Club was PUD. A planned unit development which includes all aspects of building, commercial, multifamily, everything.
That's part of the PUD.
In section 16, it lays out like 20 different things you can do.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I was following correctly with some different statements.
Right. And
thank you.
One more thing I have to say is we've had a commercial sign with a map of the two sides from day one there before anyone ever moved back there. Of a 4x2, 4x8 signs there.
Yeah. They've been there.
They've been there since day one, and we developed the Hunt Club from day one, and everybody must like it what we did there because they live there.
Yeah.
We don't do anything that's gonna look bad.
Okay.
So.
And then, so I just made a few notes, and hopefully you kind of listened to what they had said. So, I mean, if you want to table this, you can. Just a couple of things that jumped out that you want to maybe consider. And I'm not saying you have to, consider what you're gonna do with the warehouse. Be able to speak to truck delivery, the traffic, the dumpsters, those items in 1305. I would say when you come back.
Okay.
How?
There was a traffic study done. That's why there's been a turn lane put in on Cryle Road.
Yeah.
And everything, and the intersection down on down at the other end where Girdle's going in, that's going to be redone too.
Yeah, just be prepared if you're going to come back to address some of those issues. The entrance and exit. Why you're entering and exiting where from the site. We've heard about pedestrian sidewalks connections. I think internally and along the edges. I think if you want to consider that or how you can improve that. Clearly show the setbacks, and if you're planning on doing any screening, just let us know, any landscape, and then how it kind of ties in to all those items at 13.05.
Right.
You come back to present. That would be helpful for us to evaluate it.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. And you would like to table this?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Anything else, Mr. Victor?
No.
Okay. Please be seated.
Does
Go ahead.
he need to
Yeah,
ask for table?
go-
Does he need to ask for the table, not just say he wants to? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't have to go through the whole rigmarole. So I gotta state my name again?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Michael Bensick, 738 Hunting Lake Drive. I've been sworn in. I just wanted to comment on Mr. Victor's last comment regarding the signs that have been up on the corner.
That's
There-
fine,
no.
but just make sure whatever you're gonna comment, it's relevant
No,
to our.
this is relevant because it would fall into there. I believe it's under the conditional use, and it's certainly within some of the other laws regarding property value. Okay, is that fair game? The possible, no, you tell me, because if it's not, I'll sit down. But the diminishment of property value, is that fair game to discuss?
Yeah, that's not about the signs. He's talking about the signs. If you want to talk about property values,
No,
and diminishing property
can
values,
I
that's fine.
connect it? Can you give me 30 seconds to connect the two? He put those signs up. I drove by those signs when we came in. I had no idea what was going to go in there. If you were to ask any of the residents that are in the High Grove right now, had Mr. Victor gone to them at the beginning and said, I'm building a warehouse here, I'm possibly building a drive-through restaurant, would he have gotten the price for those homes? I don't know.
I don't know.
He has an opportunity to do that right now because not all the homes in there are sold. So the whole idea that I know what I'm buying when I'm going in there, that's not true because the sign basically says commercial development. That's all I'm going to say. But just to put it in the context of I knew what I was getting into, I didn't know he was going to possibly put a warehouse and a drive-through in there.
Okay, thank you.
Good
All
point.
Does Victor have to? No. Yeah. Okay. So can I get a motion to table? So
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Conditional use permit application 2023-27 and variance application 2023-142 have been tabled to next month's meeting.
See you next month.
Okay.
Do we
Okay.
have to close the public hearing?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
No, yeah, we're not done yet. There is no additional new business. And there is, we do not have meeting minutes to discuss at this time. Those were not available and we don't have a board. Our next Board of Zoning Appeals meeting will be February 14th, 2024. So the Concord Township Board of Zoning Appeals for January 2024 is now closed to the public.
All right. Good night.